So I'm getting on the plane, right? And I'm walking all the way to the back, like I gotta move so they can get to the bathroom.
Morning, guys. So another early start today. We had a bit of a break yesterday. Was allowed to wake up at 5:30 by choice. I'm feeling a bit better for it, but this morning just felt a bit slow, a bit groggy. So yeah, we're heading in. I think we're a little bit late again, but these are all the things that have to be practiced, and then we need to iron out the details so that we can actually get into this and make it a real lifestyle change, a long-term habit. But it is what it is. Today though is going to be a true test of the whole timing situation, because I have got a client booked in for 6 this morning, so that means training has to be pretty neatly packed into an early session, and everything needs to be done a little bit more crisp. So let's see how that gets on. We're in for training session number 3 of the week, early morning, and today feels like probably the worst day out of all of them. First day, I think everything was not smooth sailing, but it felt pretty good. Day 2, like I said, feeling kind of that feeling of illness, but otherwise felt pretty good. The session was solid, as you would have seen in the previous video. But this day, Friday, it was tricky. Last night I had a relatively late finish left, so I didn't get to leave the gym until around 8:25 last night. Followed on from that, it was the decision to just, I don't know, I didn't feel like going home and starting the whole cooking process because it was going to be too late. So it was a takeaway. And then from the takeaway, my alarm on for 10, but it didn't happen. I didn't go to sleep until about just after 11. And then yeah, so I was in bed for 6 hours, but I was asleep for 5. According to my sleep app, it was solid, but it didn't feel solid. I was very much restless, tossing and turning, trying to find my comfortable position. So that wasn't so good. And then this morning, tried to video a little bit of kind of my morning, well, not my morning routine, but just stuff that I get up to in the morning. But it's very, very tricky. Like I said, I have to be super stealthy in order to try my best to not wake Ezra. But that didn't work today. Yeah. Bit of reevaluation. I think I know where I might have gone wrong, where it wasn't enough preparation in the night before. So yeah, that's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky to manage, because if I'm getting in late, like I said, and wanting to get to bed early, but it's not really happening, that's going to be a struggle. But I don't want to give up, not at all. You know, week 1, like I said, it's practice. You work out, you get to a situation where it's going to work well. And I think next week we'll just be more prepared as best as we can. And we can't do too much that's not true, because it's likely that, you know, life does happen. The nature of my job is going to be a case of late finishes. Next week I'm a bit busier in terms of schedule. Quite a few clients coming back off of holiday, so sessions will be increasing, so my demand for work is going to be increasing. So that's going to be another true test. But anyway, I need to get into the gym, I need to eat, and then I've probably got about 40 minutes to train before I've got my first client. So let's do it.
Change your mindset and really focus it on what just thing about self-discipline is that it is necessary for everything you do in your life. You have to be self-disciplined.
So at this point, I'm very much awake. It's now 20 to 6. And I don't feel the effects of that 4:30 wake up call. I feel pretty alert, pretty awake, and pretty good. From my warm-up sets, just engagement movement, making contractions, controlling tempo, and then when I feel good, when I feel settled, that's when I look to introduce definitely noticed I'm working slightly shorter range with my straight arm pull downs. The reason being, as I said in the previous video, I got my second vaccine dose 2 days ago now, and obviously the site where the needle went in, it's a little bit sore, a little bit tender. Based off some of the information my mum passed on to me, I just want to be a bit careful, so trying to avoid aggravating that particular area. So keeping a short range initially, and just making sure that I don't feel any effect up here, and everything is just the lats. I mean, you never feel it here, but it's just that range you're working into. When the shoulder comes into that shorter position, it kind of affects that area. Second point, helpful tip. So I still got my music on, and the way I make that happen is when you go on camera settings, especially on an iPhone at least, if you go to photos instead of video, your music stays playing. You hold the camera button down, it turns to video, you slide that up, that locks it in place, bam, you can get on with your session and still have your music. Currently got about 5 minutes left before I need to wrap up the session. It hasn't been the best session, but it's part of the learning curve. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to get this set up to a continuous drop, just to get the volume in, just to build up that lactic acid, make sure my lats are fired up. And if all I hit today is quads and lats, I'm cool with that. And I'll work on the next bit on the weekend, I'll have a bigger session, and add in what maybe was missed in the week, which is where the weekend sessions are going to come in really, really handy. I can expand the time without having to be under a time restraint, and I can add in or increase the volume on certain exercises to make up for what I might have missed in the week. And that's how you kind of get consistency. You've got to be flexible with your plans and your programming. If you're competing, completely different story. I mean, you probably still could get away with a level of flexibility, but everything's about being top tier, number one, so it's going to need to be a little bit more rigid. But if you're a lifestyle person, there is no pressure. There is no time limit. You've got as long as you need to have. Obviously, if you want to achieve your goals sooner, work harder. But when things aren't lining up, you just got to take what you can and be okay with that, and congratulate yourself for the things that you did do. And that's where I'm at. And it keeps me happy. That's the main thing to happiness, is being okay with what you're able to do and not expecting anything to be bigger or better than it's supposed to be. So it is now 5:59. I finished my last set, and as I said, it is what it is. It would be ideal to get a bit more of an in-depth workout, but I'm willing to take responsibility for the times when things don't go right, and I'm also willing to take responsibility for the things that do go right. Tony Robbins actually said that before. So he says it was actually to do with a girl. Her dad was an alcoholic, but he loved his daughter and tried to do things for her, but he was missing in other aspects of her life. And what she did was she'd always blame him for the bad. She'd be like, he's terrible, he's alcoholic, he's missing, he's late, he's this, he's unreliable, I don't love him, I don't want him, I don't need him around. And Tony said, okay, you're good at blaming him, and she'd tell him those things, she'd tell her dad those things. Tony was like, okay, that's cool. You can blame him for the bad things, but how often do you blame him for the good things? And she was like, well, never. And no one ever does that for you, and very often we don't do that for ourselves. You don't blame yourself for the good things you did right. So this morning, I'm blaming myself for the good things. I got up at 4:30, regardless of how hard it was going to feel. I still stuck to my routine of getting my headphones in. I added in a little bit extra content for you guys. I recorded more, documented some of my morning. The negative was might have impacted Ezra's sleep and he woke up early. However, it's learning curves, like I said. Maybe we'll try and figure out a new way to get around that. But once you see my more routine, once you don't need to say every day. So there's that. I came in, I trained quads, took them to an intense level. Had a good intense set, followed by a rest pause set. I'm happy with that. Could have gone for a drop set. It's okay, didn't happen today. Lats, currently fired up. I isolated those, just hit those muscles and they feel good. Could have gone a compound, but I didn't want to because of my arm. So I'm happy with what I've done. It's not the best, it's not exactly what I had expected or what I wanted to do, but it was still good, it was still beneficial. So now it's on to my first morning climb. Yo, YouTube people, thank you for watching my video today. It wasn't the best of videos, I tried my best, but recording audio in the gym is tricky, especially when you haven't brought your mic with you. So I apologize for the poor audio quality, but I didn't want to leave that bit out because I felt there was something important in there. So if you're able to listen to it, great. If not, I'm sorry, I apologize. On the flip side, I hope you could take other bits from the rest of my video. We're still going strong with the morning workouts, feeling good, feeling okay. And I will continue to document this journey for you guys to check in on so you can learn stuff about how to cope and deal with things that might be going on in your life and how to fit in your workouts and other routines. As always, guys, please like, share, subscribe and comment below. If you have ideas and suggestions as well, don't be afraid to put I'm not that soft, so I can take some criticism, but nothing too harsh. Anyway, until next, guys.